My name is Jeff Smith. I'm CTO with Veracity Industrial Networks, and today we're going to talk about net quick tips. Today's tip is the various ways to create rules in the NetOptics UI. On the screen, you can see a topology view, which shows a number of devices in one of our local networks. To create rules between these devices, from this perspective, you can click on the devices that you want to create a rule between. And if you'll note, there are no allowed protocols currently, which means they're not allowed to talk and there is no ongoing communications. For a quick point and click setup, I can select control traffic. If I come down and I notice SIP and I see none, I notice ICMP and I see none, that tells me that there is no allowed activity, but the controller does see that traffic type. So if I were to quickly look over at RS links, we can see that none of the devices in RS links are visible. And RS links, of course, uses Ethernet IP or the SIP protocol. If I look at the other window I have open, it's a ICMP or ping. And we'll note that because, again, there are no rules allowing traffic of any type, the ping is going to fail. Coming back over to the controller, I can select allow and apply. And when I do that in just a moment, we're going to see this change to allow. If I were to go back to my controller, we're going to see that the one controller I'm looking at, which is 204, has communications now between the PC on the network, engineering laptop Win 10 Pro, and that particular controller. However, since I only enabled SIP or Ethernet IP, it only talks with SIP. Ping is still not allowed. The second way to create rules that allow traffic is a little more broad scoped. So instead of having to do one here, one here, one here, which on a very large network that might surround or span quite a large number of devices, is our traffic control. So if I come over to traffic control, you'll see across the top I have certain choices for source and destination. In this instance, it's a very small set of devices, so I could easily pick any of the devices, or I could pick any of the device types. In this case, I'm going to say everything of type laptop can talk to everything of type PLC. I'm going to use SIP again as the protocol, and I'm going to allow it. Save, review, that lists the protocol, and I'm going to apply it. When I do that, if I go back over here, we're going to see that the devices in my list that are allowed to talk are these three PLCs. Note that this, being an I/O module, 1734 AENTR, still can't communicate to this laptop running links because I haven't selected, I created a rule for one-to-one with 204. From the traffic control page, I created a rule that says any PLC can talk to my laptop, but I haven't created anything that allows communication with this. If I wanted to do that, I can come over here to the third way of creating rules. Under Policy Management, Rules, you will see the rules that were created the first time that I added the rule on the main page with the point-to-point using control traffic. The second rule that was added, which is on type laptop to type PLC. And then you can also create rules by editing them. So I might create a new rule and type in something to the effect of, if I want to override everything, I could say allow proto SIP on any. When I do that, I get a green bar across the bottom indicating that it's accepted. Hit save, and it adds that rule to the list. Now, the way this solves is priority. The biggest number gets solved first. So that's the highest priority rule. So, I can change the sort order of how I'm looking at and viewing things. But at the end of the day, priority 3 rule has priority over anything with a smaller number. If I come back over here, now you'll note that the I/O module is visible in the window and that I can open it up and browse to it as I could the 3 PLCs a moment ago. Coming back over to here, I can still see that I cannot ping 204. So I could create a rule that says allow proto ICMP And I'll just be blank and say on any, very generic, and that allows ICMP. If I come back over here and look, we're going to see that all of a sudden I can now ping because I've said allow ICMP on any. So that's the three ways to affect rule changes in NetOptics controller. Again, it's point to point using control traffic. It's using our traffic control window to do more broad stroke. Or once you're very familiar with the system, you can come into the rules page and manually create or edit rules. That's all we have for today. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.